The E100. Well, welcome back, guys. It's TheFrXion here, or Tank 1-2, however you want to call me. And I am back from my 1 week absence. And during this week, a lot of stuff has been going on in the internet, and of course on the game servers, World of Tanks and War Thunder especially. If you may have heard, War Thunder has just released, like 1 week ago, the 1.41 patch, I think. If I'm not correct, please correct me in the comment section, where you can now play ground forces. As you know, War Thunder is the biggest competitor in the same gaming area as World of Tanks, as Wargaming, and they are actually really good looking. The game is really good looking. I've played it a little bit. I will make some videos about War Thunder, about some of the changes with the planes too, and the new planes and the tanks, of course. But don't expect that much tank footage from War Thunder on this channel. I am mainly on World of Tanks, and I have a lot of stuff to do. I'll focus on World of Tanks and War Thunder. I'm gonna try to make it even, but of course the main focus is on World of Tanks. So today, I know I have really not uploaded anything in the last 6-7 days now, I think. And today I want to go back and upload some stuff. I have the series that is going on right now, What to Expect, and I already did it on the IS-7, which I will link in the description below, and the E5, which will be in the description too. So today we will be covering the German pride, German steel, the German E100. E100 heavy tank. I think it was announced way back. Of course, there was first the Moss. The IS-7 was one of the first tier 10 heavy tanks, and the Moss is also one of the first. So you can hear the great music. This is still for the 3 years World of Tanks special. This will be still going on for a couple of days. So you can see the E100 right here. I know the graphics aren't that great. It's because I'm playing on my laptop right now and don't have the best graphic power on here. So the E100, let's see on the tech tree how you get to this tank first. It's of course in the German branch, and you see they have really added a lot of tanks into this game. There are more than 300 tanks now, but that's not important. So to the E100, there are several ways to get there. For small stuff is not really that important. You can go through some scouts like the PZ38NA to the PZ4H, or through the PZ2, PZ3, DW2 to the VK. No, actually that's the wrong line. No, that's the right line. To the VK301, and then to the VK and Tiger, to the Tiger 2, the E75, and the E100 eventually. So the VK3601 is one of the tanks that I really liked. I'm not sure if they have toyed with this thing at all. The Tiger, I know, has been upped a little bit, has been buffed a little bit. It's of course a great tank, very good sniper tank in my opinion, but very weak armor in this game. If you look at the reputation of the Tiger during World War II and now in this game, don't expect the Tiger 1 to be the Tiger that you hear from the history books and channels. Of course, this is a game, and it's more arcadey, and the Tiger 1 is a lot more squishier. In World War II, there were several Tigers that held out more than 200 shots, but that, of course, was because they had different calibers attacking that Tiger, and that was 1942, and that's historically. So just keep in mind, Tiger 1 is a great tank, has a great gun, but it has very bad armor in this game. Then we come to the Tiger 2. Let's look at this real fast. Tiger 2, King Tiger, had a very high reputation, was a very fearsome enemy. Nothing could pen this tank up front during World War II. Of course, now this is game. it's of course possible to pen this tank. It's a good tank in my opinion. I really enjoy playing it. Great frontal armor for a tier 8. If you know how to play this, if you can angle, you can really enjoy this tank. Great gun and great turret, the maxed out turret. But the stock turret is really bad, so you have to get the turret real fast. After that, there's a real beast, one of the best tier 9 heavy tanks, probably one of the best tanks in the game, period. The E75. I usually don't hold to a lot of tier 9s or tier 8s that I had already unlocked in the playthrough and unlocked the tier 9 or tier 10. I usually sell them immediately because I am almost every time short of money. So you can see I still kept the E75, one of my favorite tanks. It has an amazing frontal armor, amazing turret, and amazing gun. So of course this will be one of the tanks why you should also grind this line, but that will come later on. So, and finally we arrive at the E100, the one of the two tier 10 German heavy tanks, and in my opinion a really good tank and a very dangerous foe. If you play this tank, it definitely takes a little bit of time to get used to it, but since they patched the armor on World of Tanks a couple of patches ago, the E100 really shines in a new light. So before we get into all this discussion, low gold and all that stuff, let's take a look at the overall overview and information that is handed by Wargaming here. Heavy tank E100. In June 1943, the Adlerwerke company received an order for development of the E100. However, in 1944, development of heavy tanks was discontinued. By the end of the war, only the chassis was completed, which was later captured by the British Army. So actually, the chassis was done, the turret was not, but still they were able to finish the chassis. So just imagine this tank rolling on the battlefield, 150 or 130 tons of pure steel. Of course, there would have been no bridge that could have been able to handle this weight. Just like the Moss. The Moss had a lot of trouble. 188 tons. So okay, that's a little bit more. There weren't that many bridges around that could keep this weight on them and still be able to function properly. So this tank has 2,700 hit points, which is almost the most after the Moss, with 3,000. It has a weight load limit of 150 tons max, so you can, of course, load some stuff on their equipment, but I think you won't get to 150 tons. The engine power is 1,200 horsepower, and we can, of course, once again take the IS-7 and the E5 as an example to compare them to the E100, just like we did in the prior videos. So, of course, you cannot 100% compare them to one another because they're all different. The size is different, and but they all have the marking of heavy tanks, so they're all in the same league, and they all face each other. So you can see the engine power is the most engine power of all tanks. It weighs the most and has a lot more hit points, 500 more hit points than the E5, and about 650 more than 550 more than the IS-7. So you can see here it has a lot more engine power than the E5, but of course it is needed because the weight load limit and the ratio to the engine power to the HP is a lot smaller. So you can see that the speed limit is still pretty damn good for 150 tons, 130 tons with 30 kilometers per hour. The traverse speed is here limited. Of course, it's the slowest tank of all those three tanks. Traverse speed is 22 degrees, which is not that great. Of course, it is heavy. That means it has a long time to traverse and to turn. So if there's a medium, do not try. Really do not let him get behind him. Just try to face him. But still, since the armor, which I will come to later, is that great, you'll be able to still bounce a couple of shots. So the hull armor right now, 200 up front, 120 on the side, and 150 on the rear. Excuse me. So you can see, if you compare this to the E5, which has 254 millimeters up front, you should be thinking that the E5 is overpowered, but that's not the case. If you look my other video, if you watched it, you see the main weak points of that tank, and there's pretty much the same right here. 200 millimeters of frontal armor is just this patch right here up front, and just gonna put this away real fast. Just was a little bit in the way, so I can take it up later on again. So and this patch up here, I think this is no armor at all, so you can only shoot it if you have a 9-degree angle on top of it. So this small part down here is no armor. This is pretty much no armor at all. This is a real big weak spot of the tank. The main weak spot up front, if you are engaging a E100, shoot this lower plate, and if you are a E100 driver, conceal this lower plate. Of course, as already said in the 5, if you angle this tank correctly, or in any case like the IS-7, which only has a really small weak spot up front, you will be able to bounce a lot of shots, but still it is the main weak spot of the tank, and you should cover that really well. 120 on the side, you have a lot of spaced armor right here. I think this entire part here, all the way over here, is spaced armor. So if you shoot this tank, be careful. Take in mind that you need a larger caliber to get through these sides. A lot of times you will get through, penetrate, but do 0 damage because it's spaced armor. Same on the other side. And the rear, which is really interesting, 150 millimeters of armor, but still, in my opinion, everything goes through the rear. I am not sure, but I bounced a couple of E100s on the rear. Of course, that happens too if you get a really bad shot and he just angles or turns at that moment, and you just shoot over him or whatever. So of course the main weak spots are the rear and the side, but this tank is very well armored all around, and you should not be that afraid of tier 8s, tier 9s sometimes even, especially mediums, but if they have enough pen, they can still get through you. Just be in mind, try to play this tank like any other tank, with a security that nobody can pen your upper plate right here. But still, be in mind, don't play like ruthless and charge in and get shot in from the sides in the rear. Even though 150 millimeters is a big number, they're still gonna get through you. So now let's get to the really interesting point. I can compare this real fast. I forgot to compare the armor right here on the tanks. 254 on the front, which is only this part up here, lower plate, huge lower plate, big weak spot. 76 on the side, really that's absolutely nothing if you compare it to this tank. Really bad side armor. 38 on the back, nothing. You can pen that with HE ammo. Really big troublemaker if you get hit in the rear. Oh my god. IS-7 up front, really good armored, 150. The armor is really well angled, as you can see here. A really small lower plate, and only if you angle this tank wrong, they can pen you through this side right here and get you. If they get 90 on your side, they'll easily pen you right there. So don't angle the IS-7. Then 150 on the side, a lot of spaced armor, really good side armor. One of those tanks that really drive you mad shooting it. And then the rear, which bounces a lot of shots too because of the angling right here. 100 millimeters is really good too, actually, if you compare it to the E5. But still, the E100. Now let's get to the turret. Oh my god, I should just keep those windows open. I always close them. I don't know why. Sorry about that. So right there, the turret on this tank. If you look at it, it is really flat. If you look from the side, from the front, you can see it is angled a little bit, but it's almost 90 degrees flat. So pretty much anything that has a higher caliber than 120, I think 105, if they're shooting gold, they can pen your side, your cheek. Fortunately for you, you have 250 millimeters front turret armor, so a lot of those shots won't go through. But if a E4 or a E3 and even a E5 sometimes gets your frontal turret armor, and you really face them in a 90-degree angle, they can easily pen your cheeks right here, even at the gun mantlet over here a little bit. But the gun mantlet is pretty good concealed with a lot of armor. So the side armor of the turret is 150, and the rear is also 150. But because this the rear is 90 degrees almost, it is really easy to go through the rear. And the side, you don't expect to bounce that much, but still you'll be able to bounce lower caliber rounds. And if you angle it a little bit, it's gonna be hard to get through your side turret. So once again, we compare it with the E4, E5. God damn it. Frontal turret armor, 203. One big weak spot right up here, and you can still go through the cheeks right here. Then you have the side with 127 millimeters, which is really low, and considering pretty much the almost 90-degree angle, you can easily pen that side turret. And the rear turret is pretty much 70 degrees, 70 millimeter, and almost 90 degree too. Easy pen. It's 90 degrees, I think. Easy pen, and you should not bounce. Only if you shoot right here, maybe you'll bounce if you're unlucky. So now the IS-7. Really, this is one of the toughest turrets in World of Tanks. Hard to pen. You can maybe pen right here and here, the cheeks. If you're loco, you can pen the commander's hatch if you're high enough and you get a good shot. Side, really good turret, really good side turret. Almost nothing goes through it because of the angling and because of the angle. Rear is pretty easy to pen, let's say it like that. It is a real small target, so if he turns and still it's a little bit angled, so it's still rather hard to pen the rear turret. So if you shoot IS-7, shoot the rear, don't shoot the turret. Don't shoot the turret only if it's the only point you can shoot at IS-7, which happens quite a lot when IS-7 players go low hull. Hull down. So standard shell damage. Now this is also one of the things. One of the weak spots is also this part of the turret up here. The viewports, you can pen that, and you can pen this piece of metal that connects the turret. You can pen those, but it's 50-50 chance. A lot of times it will do 0 damage or just destroy the viewports. And while you are doing that, the E100 is shooting you with either the 150 or the 128. So right now, fuck, I don't have the 128 unlocked. So I sold it because I run the 150 only. So let's look at the stats of the 128. You have two options on this tank. You can either go with the 12.8 centimeter Canona 44L55, which is also mounted on the Moss, the E75, and the VK4502P. This is, of course, not a bad gun. A rate of fire of 4.2 rounds per second, Average penetration 246 with standard AP, 311 with APCR, and 65 with HE, high explosive rounds. Your average damage is 490, and with HE 630. Of course, you most of the time you get rolls of 500 something. In my E75, I got a lot of rolls of 530, 560, even 600 sometimes. So the dispersion at 100 meters is 0.38. If you compare that to the E5 real fast, the E5 gun, where's the E5 gun? It's just a little bit worse by 0.03 seconds, and if you compare it to the IS-7, it's a little bit better by 0.02 seconds. So, now back to the tank. Jesus Christ, I have too many tanks. But I saw how many tanks Quickie Baby has, and he has every tank in the game, I think. So, the aiming time is 2.9 seconds. If you compare that, oh my god, I always have to compare it to the E5. Just compare it with the E5, which has a really fast loading gun. It's 0.9 seconds slower, so that means the E5 is going to aim a lot faster. And the weight of the gun is really not that important, so I'm not going to go through it. And now the gun I am using. It is a 150mm caliber gun. Rate of fire 3 shots per second, which is a 1.2 shots less than the 12.8 centimeter cannon. Average penetration is less by 11 millimeters at AP. Is more with heat rounds because you're firing heat instead of APCR, but still the heat flies slower than the AP and APCR, and is a little bit different. HE damage is of course more because of the caliber, 85. Penetration, and the damage is 750, and standard, which is a lot more. You can go up to 1000. The dispersion is 0.4 per 100 meters at 100 meters. The aiming time is pretty much the same, which is really interesting. The weight is almost is a little bit more. This gun is only compatible with the E100. So pretty much, what can you say to this gun? I use this gun because I can do a lot of damage and I know how to hit enemy tanks. I know the weak spots, so I can still pen them. If that doesn't work, you can see the huge heat counter down there. You can just really use heat and not be worried with trying to pen, because that 335mm of pen is like so much, and you can just go through any tank with that. I even loaded a little bit of HE, but I think I should load a little bit more of AP. I never use 39 per game, so I think 17 and 29 should be enough. I don't want to sound like I'm a gold douchebag, but pretty much I am if you look at this E100. And yeah, so I'm using the 150. The 128 is not bad, but still I prefer the 150. So the rate of fire, we already said all about that. Turret traverse speed is only 20. If you compare it to the IS-7 with 25, it's the slowest of all. The T110E5 with 32 has the fastest turret traverse. The view range is 400, just like any other tank, and the signal range is not that important. It's almost the same on all tanks except the E5 has a little bit more. So, what would I suggest you to put on your tank for equipment? Pretty much what I really like to put on the E100 is enhanced gun laying drive, because you just need this this extra time to aim, this make the aiming time slower, faster, because you want to be able to put in shots at a very fast time. even peak and all that stuff. Large caliber gun rammer, of course, because the 150mm is a large caliber. You don't want to be loading for an hour to be able to shoot. You want to have a fast reload time, of course. I'm going to put that on. And I put down improved ventilation class 3, which really helps me on this tank because it just improves skill level. But one of the very, very good equipment now for the E100, the E100, is the super heavy spall liner, which really protects your tank from any explosives, from artillery and all that shit. And it's really good to have, but I don't have it on it because I think I don't need it, because I always get around with this tank pretty well, and I think I have enough hit points and enough armor, so I don't need it. Of course, automatic fire extinguisher is very important for me. Small repair kit and the first aid kit, but you can go all premium with those. Then crew skills. Yeah, I would say try your own way. I just have a crew skill that I can upgrade, and I think I'm going for snapshot because I always like to charge my turret all the time. So pretty much this was the entire information based part of the video, and now I'm going to the we just got a message by Wargaming, and afterwards I am going to show you gameplay of this tank. So I got two gameplays ready for you guys, both both from the E100, of course, since it's a E100 review. And the first one is in Himmelsdorf, a city map, and it looks pretty damn good for us, 57% win rate. This is a victory, I can tell you that already. And the other game will be a defeat. This should display and show you the power of the E100, where it is the strongest and where it has the most flaws. So pretty much you can see that in Himmelsdorf, this is a tank. That has to go into a city. You need cover for this tank. It cannot go in the open because it's a pretty slow tank. You can still bounce a lot of shots, but you don't want to be out in the open, getting hit by artillery, because you're a big target. You're a slow target, so you'll be one of the first targets artillery will be aiming for if you are spotted in the open field. So that's why this is a city tank. Also because the gun, the 150mm that I have on this, is not as accurate as a 120 or a 105 of a medium tank, and it does not have the same pen as the E50M, for example. So right now you can see I'm loading AP. I'm not loading any APCR or heat net rounds at the moment. You don't need APCR for IS-3, and right there you can see a lot of people forget that the IS-3 has a really soft turret. So if you are engaging an IS-3 that is hold down, just aim for his turret if you are a higher tank than the IS-3. So right there you can see they have two E100s, and this is one of the times where you need to load 8 heat rounds pretty much. You cannot shoot those tanks with AP. I managed to put one in, but that was a lower play hit, and you can see the enemy E100 just penned my cheek, my left cheek. That was because I gave him a 90-degree angle. And now I'm loading heat rounds because I want to pen those guys too, and I cannot pen the turret of the E100 with AP rounds. So this is one of the big cons of this tank. If you're running the 150mm gun, you will need to load a lot of heat rounds. It is really hard to get AP rounds into the enemy. You can definitely hit him, you can definitely pen him, but you really have to search for the weak spots, and that can cost you a lot of hit points sometimes, and is just unpractical when it's really on a situation on life or death. So, what is the big con? Heat rounds. Well, they're really expensive. So if you don't run premium, I think a lot of you guys run premium because a lot of tanks, they make $4 per player, per each player, they said. That's quite a lot, considering the base they have, the player base. So whatever. The heat rounds are really expensive, and they fly a lot slower. You have to take that in mind and keep that in mind. And I'm gonna show you right now. I'm going out. E100 is giving me a perfect 90-degree turret and 90-degree angle, and I just put one in on his cheek. I'm not sure, maybe I even hit the gun mantlet, because that was not 100% a cheat shot, I think. So you can see that this is just a battle of heat rounds. How can you counter those heat rounds? It's really hard to counter those heat rounds because they have a pen of about 335, I think, if I check this real fast. 334 almost. And really, there's no armor in the game that can really withstand so much pen. I just bounced off the E100 on his turret, but that was because I really hit his outside part of the turret, which doesn't count as a hitbox, I think. So it was an automatic bounce. So you can see right now, this is maybe one of the mistakes I made, which cost my allied E100 a lot of hit points. I moved back here because I was expecting an enemy push from behind, from the hill, because we lost the hill. But as you can see, the E50M, the Carnivore, and the Badchat 25, they had this all covered. So I moved back. Fortunately for me, the E100 is a really good player, and now I moved back, and now you can see this angle right here of this E100 who's facing me with 794 hit points. You would not be able to pen that with AP. And now I'm loading heat, so I go through him, and you can see I just did 772 damage. He has 1% of his hit points left. The thing now is that, like in any other tank that I have, E4 or E3 hard-hitting tanks, they say that the average damage on this tank is 750, but you can see we have a lot of rolls under 750, and that happens quite a lot in this tank. You are really lucky if you get a roll up to 900 and above. You can see 747. Not even scratching the 750 mark, really close, but not on the 750 mark. And this is one thing that is just part of World of Tanks, I think. And right now you can see the E100 with its HP and armor, you can really do a lot of damage right here. So this E100 gets hit by the E75. And now I decide it's time for me to push, and you can see E100 gives me a perfect 90-degree angle on his turret, and I take him out. You can say that it is really being a douchebag to play with heat rounds, but it is pretty much the only option to be able to pull out a victory and playing good enough to be able to support your team at the same time. So right there you can see the IS-4 just hit me. It's just the pen of this tank is so damn low that you have to go back to heat rounds sometimes. Especially if you're engaging an IS-7 and all that stuff. You want to be able to hit those shots. And now, Scumbag Artillery is going to hit me. Scumbag! So you really wanna make every hit count, because in the end you wanna win and you don't wanna lose. And that's also one of the things you really are sometimes the reliability of the heat rounds is just a lot better than the AP rounds. So pretty much that's all I can say to this game right now. So we won city map, perfect map for E100, perfect map. You're protected from all the artillery, and yeah. So let's go over to the next game, which is a little bit different and is a loss. So we're on cliff as a map, no city or whatsoever, no buildings to protect you from artillery. There is a hill and a cliffside, and this hill actually can support you or give you some cover from artillery. The main places where where the battles are being fought out is right here: E6, E3, D2, and D8, D9. This entire D and E line here, there are battles all over this place. So I was AFK for a couple of seconds. I was surfing the web, so don't surf the web while playing World of Tanks. You really miss out your games. You'll forget your games. It's really important to get into the position real fast because it is almost impossible to get to those positions. So right here, as already said, the 2,700 hit points of the E100 are pretty much, for the player, they are really great, but for the enemy it can be a pain in the ass to go up against the E100. And this game should show you that an E100 with 2,700 HP is a pain in the ass to go up against, especially if he's loading a lot of heat rounds like me. And yeah, the thing is though, since you're so slow and there are like 50 Bs on the enemy teams, bad chat is 62, if they get an early light on you, if they are able to spot you right here, and they are able to track you, you are pretty much dead meat. Even your 2,700 HP won't help you right here. A 50B does not have armor. It does not have any armor if you compare it to other tier 10s. That was a real fast clutch shot. I tried to put it right into the 50B. The thing is just 50B, a very good player, a very dangerous player, and I have a lot of problems with this guy later on in the game. And yeah, so E100 with 2,700 HP is really a pain in the ass for the enemy team. But if you're tracked and if you're in a bad spot, those 2,700 HP won't help you. Even your armor won't help you sometimes. So pretty much you can see this map is really open, so I have to be careful from all different angles and different sides that the enemy doesn't flank me. You can see our Waffenträger E100, T62A are going around the hill at E8, and they're pretty much trying to push the enemy team on the other side. Unfortunately, there is a 1803 right over there, and he's a pain in the ass. So this map is one of my least favorite maps in my E100. It's too open for me, and I don't have the agility or the moving and the speed to get around on this map. So you can see I'm trying to be helpful at my team, but I'm putting myself at great risk right here of getting hit by artillery or even getting hit by the 50B on the hill. It's just that I really want to take out the Batchat or the 69 that were around that corner, because I was expecting them to pull back any minute. And there was 69, and Clutch hit him and destroyed him. That was a really lucky shot. So you can see object 416 just got blasted with one shot. The 62A was blasted with one shot too. And it's not looking good for us. My team is falling apart. The game is pretty much coming almost to an early end. And we are still here in the middle. Now I knew that I had to reposition. This is not going to be well. I had to go back to the corner at D7 and try to defend the corner right there from all the enemy tanks. And we still have a 69 over there, but he's gonna die any minute now. Yeah, he just died. And now I was expecting, I wasn't expecting a rush immediately. Yeah, E100 now, the really important thing on this tank is that you angle your tank correctly. If you angle this tank correctly, nothing can go through you. And I did not do that, I think. That was a little bit bad angling. I put in a 739 shot into the 50B, and right now, okay, the 50B was firing gold, so pretty much he was putting through every shot. But still, 2 of them did 0 damage. Luckily for me. And now the E100 pretty much is a pain in the ass for the 50B player. He's autoloader, so he can definitely take care of me pretty easily. But the problem is that I can take care of him pretty easily too, because I have a 150mm cannon, and if he pokes out one time, I can easily pen him because he has no armor whatsoever. So what should you do if you're in such a situation? Now I'm gonna show you what I did. I got really lucky. Artillery just splashed in front of me. That was a really lucky situation for me. And I decided this is not a good spot to defend. This is definitely a bad spot. So where can I go to have the advantage on the enemy? Of course, this is not just for the E100. This is just positioning. Just positioning in general for any tank. If you know positions, if you can position yourself correctly, you can really get the advantage on any tank. So right here you can see I'm in the E100. I'm going up this little slope here, and there are a lot of bushes, so I am pretty much protected by the bushes, or at least I have some cover by the hill on this side and by a rock on this side, and there are bushes, so I am pretty much I cannot be detected pretty easily. So you can see we have at C5 we have 2 tanks, the Conqueror and the E3, and they're pretty much keeping off the low from pushing, and the Waffentrigger and the 50B. So I go up here, and what I noticed on this tank is of course the armor is great. The gun is not that great, but it does deliver if you know how to use it. That the gun elevation is pretty damn good on this tank. If you've played any Churchill, you will know that the Churchill has a terrible gun elevation, and right there I take out the bad shot, and I knew that this guy was not moving. If he would have moved, he would have been lit. So I just kept aiming at that spot, and yeah, pretty much that's what just happened. You can see against bad shots and WZs, tier 8s, tier 8s, tier 9s, even tier 10s, you can still use AP, but against tier 10s, definitely you need to aim. Waffentrigger, you don't really need to aim, you just aim for the turret. And right there, I kind of fooled the 50B. He did not know where I was, so I got the jump on him pretty much. 50B, yeah, he tried to hunt me down, and now this was where the situation was getting grim. E100 can really be a pain in the ass, especially since the hit points can be that high. Now I was struggling to get up here. Actually, one of the things I should have done, I should have moved, because this was a pretty bad spot now. They already lit me and all that stuff, and I was not getting out of here alive. So you can see a E100 in a good spot can be really dangerous enemy, but right now if you get lit, you're dead. So you can see my gun elevation is really great. Then I was just sitting here waiting for the enemy to do something. I was aiming for a draw in the end, but I knew that artillery would be moving, and that that would be my death. So pretty much I just sat here. I think in a minute I get spotted by something, and then I'm getting taken out. So let's see, speed it up a little bit. Yeah, and I asked how much HP the Waffle has, and the other guy told me 2,000, and I thought he would mean 2,000 like the standard HP of the Waffentrigger, and I was expecting, I was asking how much HP he still has left, but in the end it turned out he still had 2,000 HP left. So I get lit by IS-3 or the AMX 12-2. I get a shot into him. I know I have to get out of here because I'm going to be main target right now, and artillery pretty much just knocks me out right there. 5 HP, that's nothing. And pretty much that was the end of the pretty awesome space or place of the E100. And this pretty much shows you what a pain in the ass this tank can be for any enemy team. It has so much HP. It has great armor and a gun that can be really dangerous if the player knows how to use it. And that pretty much is one of the effects that the E100 has on the enemy. If they see this tank on the battlefield, most of the time they will try not to engage it head on because they know this tank has a lot of armor and it's a really dangerous opponent. So they will not, or usually they will not go up against the E100. So pretty much this is also the psychological warfare aspect, like the Tiger in World War II. The Tiger was such a legendary vehicle, even though it had a lot of flaws, that it was for the enemy really it was more of a symbol for Germany. It did so much for Germany in World War II. It was horrible for the enemy. Just the sound of the Tiger. If they heard the Tiger, the name the Tiger was somewhere in this area, everybody would be really afraid. So pretty much this is what the E100 does in World of Tanks. Now it's not the same psychological effect, but it is fear of getting hit by a 150 millimeter 150 millimeter. Still, the fear is still there. So this is pretty much one of the things in this tank. If you're in this tank, you can really push the front lines. It's one of the tanks I always play in Clan Wars. It's really requested in Clan Wars, so this is also one of the aspects. If you don't want to get the E100, it is also good in Clan Wars. It is used almost in a lot of cases. In my clan we use it all the time. A very reliable tank, and if you angle it correctly, it is just like a moss, indestructible sometimes. So pretty much that sums it all up. This was my review of the E100. I hope you liked it. The E100, it is my how do I put it? My favorite tier 10 heavy tank is the E5, and the IS-7 is pretty close to the E5, so I guess it's my least favorite tier 10 heavy tank, but still, I still like it. It's just I've gotten so used to playing the E5 and the IS-7 that the E100 is just still, I mean, I don't need, excuse me, you don't really need that much skill to be able to play the E100. It's really easy tank to play. Also, I can just say that really fast, a really easy tank to play. It doesn't need a lot of skill. Really good tank in my opinion. Better than the Moss. I have no clue. I don't own the Moss, but the Moss is, from my opinion, too slow, since I've encountered a lot of Mosses in the battle. But of course, Moss has a lot better armor than the E100 and bounces a lot more, but it only uses the 128. So what would I say to this tank? In my opinion, it's an amazing tank, and it really delivers on what it should deliver. It is a heavy tank with a good gun. It is able to push, but it's not overpowered, because you can easily take it down if you know the weak spots. Okay, not easily, but you can take it down if you know the weak spots. So pretty much just sums up my review. I hope you liked this. I will try to make the next one, which I'll be starting with the medium tanks now, because I've done my tier 10 heavy tanks. I was starting with the tier 10 medium tanks, and I will see which tank I will start. I will update you guys on the process on my YouTube channel, as always, and I hope you guys liked this. I hope I see you guys soon.